exists in a very meaningful sense for what a rainbow is. If your eyes are not part of that experience, if you are not an observer of a rainbow, it isn't. It's just light. So you're seeing it as part of it being. And yet, again, it's all around us. It's sort of everywhere. Rainbows are real, even though they are interrelated to our seeing them, our perceiving them. And it's wonderful as an analogy because this is a little bit like Chalica and really our principles and values as a whole. Because our principles and values are there. They exist. We know them. We can talk about them. We can describe them. They are here in the world. But of course, the reality is that unless you're doing them, unless you are living and embodying these values, they are as notional as refracted light. They are real, but only because we exist to make them real. And that's important because here we are in Chalica, we're able to focus on all of our principles, and we have our rainbow models here with our candles. We have some on our banners over here, again, outside, huge banner out there. But of course, a rainbow is not, bars of perfect color. You've seen a rainbow before. Can you tell where a rainbow stops being yellow and starts turning into green? Like it's the spectrum. It's such a gradient. You can never say this is the moment where the green starts. But of course, we have to draw it, meaningfully. So we just make little bars, and those are our colors. But the reality is, of course, these things interact. They enmesh. They are overlapping all the time. So I thought we should get a little overlappy here today. So I'm going to invite us to get a little messy and tangled, but I need your help to do this. So, actually, Micha, do you mind giving me a hand here? We are going to basically invite everyone. Take a couple of these. Yeah, these are stickier than I thought they would be. So pardon the stickiness. What I want us all to do, I thought about doing this like toilet papering a house style, where I held one and just launched it out. But I couldn't assume everyone was necessarily ready to catch one of these. So instead, what I'm going to do is hand this to you, and then I'm going to unroll it and hand it to Vern. What I'm going to ask everyone to do as I pass these out is to share them around. Micha, feel free to just start handing them out. Hold on to that. And my request is going to be, do not just pass it right behind you. Pass it to the side, zigzag it around. Make sure you hold on to that. Yeah, make sure that you're passing off the, because we're going to pass this part, so no worries. There you go. And then we'll pass this back, if you'd like. Keep it going. I was thinking our aisle is probably a little too big to get it around. I'm sorry, the party store had what they had, so I only have these. Keep it going. Feel free to, again, zigzag it around. There we go. I'm real sorry, everyone in the back and everyone in the balcony. I knew I was going to miss you all. I was going to say, anyone with good TPing skills, you'll be in good shape. We have no more tension over here, I'm sorry to say. Now, again, I only had five rolls of streamers here. So, but how's this for turning all of you into the object lesson? This tangle, this is more like what Chalica is, right? This tangle of the things, this tangle of you're in it. You're in the messy tangle of the values because they are all interrelated, they are all interconnected, they are all informing, and we're living in the midst of them all the time. That is the rainbow that we are able to bring into the world. And you're in it all right now. I can tell. By all means, would like to stand and see this all together. Yeah, it's harder to see in the pews. Look at this. Well, this Chalica, I hope we never lose the sense that we are in the tangle of these colors. Oh, we're getting some pictures. Perfect. Oh, and I see some balcony people are perfectly situated. Well, thank you all. Happy Chalica. And sorry to leave you with some messy crepe paper to hold on to. If you don't mind collecting it and, disposing, that would be great.
And I'm sure you will agree with the theme of this reading. Home that love made. This is the home that love made. It is full of the love that the founders felt when they planned out these walls and raised these beams above us. This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of all who have worshiped here, those who have celebrated and grieved here, the babies dedicated, couples married, and family members mourned here. This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of our children as they learn and laugh together, and our youth as they grow into their own sense of purpose and meaning. This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of the staff who have served it, full of their hopes for this congregation, their hard work, and their acts of dedication. This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of the choir, the love made so clear in the voices lifted here on Sunday morning. This is the home that love made. It is full of our love, the love of this community, despite our differences and our disagreements, the love that holds us together as a people. This is the home that love made. May we continue the work of building this home, beginning with this moment as we join in worship together. Each Sunday, we donate our plate collection to a worthy organization. And although it says Rainey Institute on your order of service, we have put that to a later date so that we can take the opportunity to address as little as we can the situation in Turkey and Syria. This week, our hearts go out to the people of Turkey and Syria as they face the aftermath of the devastating earthquakes that have so far taken the lives of over 23,000 people. For that reason, we're redirecting this morning's offering to two relief organizations whose work is supported by our own Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The first, the Global Fund for Human Rights, is delivering emergency funding to 20 local groups in Turkey who are providing life-saving support and protecting the rights of marginalized people, especially women, girls, migrants, and refugees, who are especially vulnerable in the times of crisis. The second one, called the White Helmets, is a group of over 3,000 volunteers in Syria who are on the ground pulling the dead from collapsed buildings and searching for survivors, transporting hundreds of injured people to the hospitals in freezing snow and rain. These organizations are in a race against the clock. Please stand with them and with the people of Turkey and Syria and give what you can now to help those impacted by their disaster. This is a big one, folks. You may put your donation in the collection plate. You can use our CashApp. The handle is $UUCC 44122. Or you could go home and write a check and send it to the church. Make sure you put plate in the memo line with the date. Thank you.
Thank you, choir. I see someone wanting to clap. It's okay if you show appreciation for lovely music. It's this kind of thing where it's like, I want to bring my hands in contact with each other, but I'm not sure if I should. It's okay. And thank you all for your flexibility today. I know we've been seeing some really tragic images over the last week or so, and being able to do something for people on the other side of the world is a real blessing for us, 2. So I invite you to read along with the acceptance of gifts. It's on your yellow pew card. We offer these gifts with gratitude, and we acknowledge the constant gifts of time, talent, and treasure that strengthen and nourish this congregation as a reflection of our commitment to community within and without, our purposeful spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and our intentional actions that lead to greater justice in our congregation, our city, our nation, and our world. When we started talking about being a partner with the Unitarian congregation in Rutana, Burundi, we were talking about the differences between Unitarianism in Africa and Unitarianism for us in Shaker Heights. And one of the words that came up was a familiar word to a lot of us, Ubuntu. Ubuntu, I am because we are. Desmond Tutu said it this way: a person is only a person through other persons. None of us comes into the world fully formed. We wouldn't know how to think or walk or speak or behave as human beings unless we learned it from other human beings. We need other human beings in order to be human. I am because we are. We teach one another how to be. Whenever we show up in a new place, we're wired to tune into what's going on around us. How are other people being? And that way, we'll know how to be. If we go into a place and people are talking and making a lot of jubilant noise and they seem to be celebratory, then we get the impression it's probably okay for us to be a little loud and to be boisterous and to greet our friends loudly. If we walk into our classroom and everyone is sitting and reading quietly or listening to one person reading, then we might think, I should not make a lot of noise when I come into this space because nobody else is making noise right now. Maybe some of us look around at what's happening and decide we're going to be troublemakers and respond in a way that is not the cues that we're getting. But usually, more often, we either connect in the way that it looks like is expected of us, or we choose to go elsewhere. If we don't seem to fit with what's happening in some place, a lot of us will choose to sit at a different lunch table, or go to a different social gathering, or attend a different church. If we don't seem to fit with the way people are telling us we're supposed to be, we find another place to be. But we learn who we are through our relationships with other people, and sometimes we learn who we're not through our relationships with other people. We might feel like there are places where we have to pretend in order to belong. We have to act like someone different. In a weird way, we think that if we put on the right masks and play chameleon well enough, that we will be loved and accepted. And sometimes it pays off because the mask that we wear or the way that we chameleon ourselves is loved and accepted. We follow all the cues. We say everything just right. We sometimes get rewarded. Our disguise is accepted. But we don't really experience that sense of being deeply loved. We don't really experience a sense that we are truly acceptable as we are. We just figured out how to play a game. And I mentioned love back in, it must have been the Christmas Eve service. We were talking about what is love, what's a definition of love that we can all agree on. And the definition that I use is active commitment to the well-being of another. That's how I define love in a meaningful way. Active commitment to someone's well-being. And you might include in that experience of being loved a feeling of being accepted or being deeply known, being cared for. But at the end of the day, if somebody isn't able to actively demonstrate that our well-being matters to them, we are probably not going to think that they love us. If someone is not able to actively demonstrate that our well-being matters to them, it's going to be hard for us to say that person loves us. And we get a little sketchy with our language sometimes. We say things like, I love how you always have the right thing to say. Well, what if you don't have the right thing to say at some point? Are you still going to be lovable? I love how you're always first to volunteer for things when we have a need. That's great. Well, what if I don't have the bandwidth to volunteer the next time you have a need? Am I still going to be lovable? It's tricky because we want to show appreciation for behaviors that help things run smoothly, and yet we want people to feel loved for just being. Everybody in this room has inherent worth and dignity. At least we can say that about the people in this room. We have a hard time saying it about everybody out in the world, but that's our first principle, that every person has inherent worth and dignity, which is another way of saying everyone is worthy of being loved. Everyone is worthy of love and belonging. We need boundaries, but we can begin from a place of love with those boundaries. We want to have a clear identity as a community, and so we're working on defining our congregational covenant. But we also say we accept one another as we are in this moment and encourage each other to grow spiritually. Having a set of values and guiding principles that help clarify who we want to be as a congregation is good. And then also, we want to invite everyone's voice into the conversation. Everyone having a voice does not mean everybody gets their way. It doesn't mean that everyone's ideas are equal, but we shouldn't be afraid of people having a voice in the conversation. So how do we teach one another to be in this space? We are only able to be a part of this community because other people show us how to be a part of this community. How do we teach one another to be? Do we just point to the principles and say, this is what we agree to, and so you agree to that too, and then we just pat you on the back and send you on your way? We cannot be a meaningful, authentic community unless we show one another how to do that. So how do we teach? I have a green light already on here. So how do we teach one another to be in this place? How do you learn how to be a member of this community? This is where I invite you to say something. I only know what I've experienced. So some of you went to a considering membership class, and you said, okay, well, I'm considering membership. Let me learn how to be a member of this community. And so you went to the class, and some people talked to you about all the great things that happen here, and we told you about all of the small groups, and we gave you some handouts, and we handed you a pledge card, and yet that's not really how to be a member of the community. That's just the threshold. That's you saying, I am willing to learn what it means to be in community here. So how do you learn what it is that we're creating together?
When somebody invites you to be a part of a group.
When somebody invites you to be a part of a group.
Or a committee, or to help with a certain project.
And what do you learn there?
Then you interact with the other people, so you get a sense of, oh, this is what it means to be a part of this community.
Okay, that's a very non-judgmental, you just learn from being around the other people and talking with them. Did you have an idea?
By showing up.
Yeah, you got to show up. That's true. That's very true.
By walking up to someone you don't know in coffee hour and getting to know them.
Conversations. Yeah, okay. So that's how you learn how to be in community, through interacting with people. I noticed none of you said what you had learned about being in community, but we'll get to that. Okay, one more.
To help when others need help.
Helping other people out is a great way to learn how to be in community. Yeah. Sometimes we think of leaders in the congregation as those other people who are defining what it is that we're co-creating, and then we can say, I agree with that or I disagree with that, and I can point to them and say, no, I don't like what they decided. A leader is somebody that we can point to when we're unhappy. Sometimes that's what we think a leader is. Those other people that make the decisions and do the heavy lifting, and we don't want to be one of those people because we don't want anybody blaming us. So we let other people be leaders, and yet everyone here defines what this community is. You've heard the membership team say that everyone is a greeter. That's true. Every one of us is responsible for how we welcome people and how we are hospitable to people. But everyone here is also a leader. Everybody here helps define for everybody else here what it means to be in this community, to co-create whatever this is that we're co-creating. Everything that each of us does creates who we are. So if what you do is you walk into the room and you talk about the latest social justice book that you read and you say everybody else should read that social justice book and we should all go out and do social justice, then we are defining what it is that we want to create. If what you do is you show up and you sit quietly at coffee hour and wait for somebody to come to you and engage in conversation because you're available for whatever somebody needs to talk about that day, then you're creating something about our community that's open and caring and patient. If what you do is you come in and you sit at the back of the room and you wait for somebody to come and talk to you because you don't really want to engage because this is really scary to engage in a new place, you're creating an invitation. Hopefully we all don't do that. But some of us need to do that sometimes. So what we create as a community is a lot of different things. And there are a lot of things we could be. So we've talked about how we learn who we are. What are we? Who are we? What have you learned all this time, engaging with people here? What have people taught you about being in this community? What does it mean to be in this community? Oh, we don't know. We don't know. Where's the board? Let me tell the board.
I have learned that we care about each other. Being a part of the choir is a really special experience because we let our guard down, we laugh, but we work hard, and we care about each other when things go wrong.
You just said so much. We're a place where we can be vulnerable. We're a place where we care about each other. We're a place where we work hard together, is what I heard. I see Judy. See, you can't get away from the microphone just by being in the back of the room.
I don't want that most of the people that I meet in this church are not content to stay as they are. It's pushing it intellectually and spiritually, both. And we push each other, we politely challenge each other. So you got to be dynamic. Well, you got to be. One hopes that one would be to continue to be a lifelong learner, to continue to be inquisitive, to continue to be a lifelong spiritual person who's growing all the time. But I need others to help.
So part of that requires a little bit of trust, too. If we're always growing, we have to be humble because we haven't arrived yet. And also, if we're helping each other grow, we are going to get it wrong sometimes. And so we have to have a sense of trust that says, if I push you a little bit in a direction that I think you're trying to grow, and that's not really what you want, then I have to be able to say, oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong, and then let people keep becoming. I think we've got somebody down this way, if you wouldn't mind.
Learning to pay attention.
We're a community that pays attention, or we're at least a community that helps you learn to pay attention?
I think what I think about is how there's some people in this congregation who've been coming in previous iterations for many decades, and then there are other people who are brand new, and just seeing the different, just how the evolution and how we continue to embrace that previous culture and also add to it is pretty meaningful to me.
So would you say we're a community that helps make room for each other? Yeah? That's what I heard you saying. Yeah. That's important. We've got a lot of different experiences here. I don't have a question, but Sandy does. Oh, Sandy. place? Yeah, a place where we're held, where we find peace and solace after we've done all that hard work that we talked about. Maybe a place where we re-energize. That's what this community is. One more? Yeah. Oh, okay. Two more. Oh, my goodness. Everybody's hand shut up.
It's a place of kindness.
Okay.
And
That's what you've learned.
Struck me immediately when I started a year ago coming here, that everyone is so kind.
Yeah.
I think it's a community where the people actively try to encourage us to live our principles.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a place of integrity.
A place where we try to really listen to each other.
A place where we try to really listen to. We don't always succeed, but we try. And that's good. I'm not being flippant. We don't always succeed when we are wanting to listen deeply. You probably want this green light to stay on. All of that is really great. And there's probably more. You probably haven't thought about that question. You didn't do your homework coming into the class today because you didn't know there was homework. But what have you learned from the people here about how to be in this community? All of those things were really positive. We might have learned some other things too, some things that it's like, oh, it's kind of disappointing that this is how we all are here, but okay. And maybe there are some places where we want to maybe encourage things to change in a new direction and to say, wouldn't it be amazing if we were this together? And we can dream and vision with one another. But I can't think of any of the things that you named that aren't enhanced by beginning from a place of love, a place of active commitment to one another's well-being. If I try to encourage you to grow and I don't love you and I don't really care about your well-being, I am probably going to push you in directions that don't matter to you or that are a little too harsh or a little too whatever. I'm going to miss the cues a lot. I'm not going to find it easy to be vulnerable with you if I don't know that you care about my well-being. So our active commitment to one another's well-being, that sense of love, is the thing that transforms this community from a place where people gather and just figure everybody here thinks alike to a place where we build genuine, authentic relationships with one another. So that's what I hope we get to talk about at lunch today. What does all of that we've described liberate you to do and be? If we want our love to set people free, if we want to have a liberating love, it sounded like a lot of positive stuff defines who we are. What does that liberate you to do here? Who does that liberate you to be that you can't find in other spaces? Because each of us needs each of us in order to be fully human. And if we are wise, we will create a community where our love for one another liberates us all to be the very best humans we can be. Would you give me the number we're going to sing? We're going to sing 323 together in the gray hymnal. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we lift our voices together. I want to remind you, even though the table is not going to be downstairs today, I want to remind you that we are still welcoming people to raise their hands and say, I want to be a delegate at General Assembly this year. There is funding available if that would hold you back. Otherwise, don't let that be a barrier. Since we don't have the table downstairs this week, if that's something you're interested in doing, being a delegate at General Assembly, again, it is closer now than it will be for many years probably. So let me know, and then I'll point you in the right direction so that you can get all the information that you need. Next week, we're going to be starting our adult religious education, looking at the book The Sum of Us. I'm asking y'all to read the book ahead of time before we start the class, but if you don't have it all read, that'll be okay. I think we're going to be somewhere around room 106, 108, but we'll have that clear next week. And then after that course is done, that'll run from the 19th through March 19th. And then after that is done, Molly Watkins, you want to wave, Molly? Molly Watkins is going to be leading an intercultural competency adult RE course that'll go through May something. Yeah. So we're going to have a lot of really intriguing and engaging adult RE opportunities coming up. Today we have our congregational meal. We've got the place set up downstairs. I think we have the stage set aside for young people today. That's my impression, so that there'll be a little bit of space, so that they have room to play a bit. And our Leadership Development Committee is going to be leading our content today. If you are on the Leadership Development team, would you just stand up for a second and let us acknowledge you and see who you are? There we go. So we are going to continue to talk about how we show love to this congregation, and we do that by being the amazing people that we all are. So hear these words from Reverend Darcy Lane. Our main job, both as a community and as individual persons, is to remember love whenever we can. Remember when it is available to be remembered or experienced, and to remind one another when we have forgotten. We remind each other not by a logical argument, but by being love, by embodying and manifesting love, by grounding our actions, our choices, our words in the bedrock of love that underlays and supports everything, that is deeper than the suffering and struggle of this moment. May we be so bold. Amen, and blessed be.
Let us extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.